Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto suchedoye alahari samya samputoshi.
Namo saranto suchedoye arahati samya samputoshi.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿皆如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 师父上人，各位学生，阿弥陀佛。Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture. Today is Sunday, the 23rd of November, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland, and it's the 22nd back in California. We're going to be launching into our Flower Garland Sutra lecture today, and we've got some really, really interesting stories to share today from the Sutra. So let's get started. Here's our invocation. We're going to put this chant out into the air and invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Flower Garland Assembly and the gods and the dragons and the Eightfold Pantheon to draw near. Here we go. One more time. And we would like to respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambe language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说我们恭敬地承认Ugambe语族的Kombu-Meri人是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没放弃主权的第一民族的原住民也致敬。The bells sound wide, resound throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬往一国中，共寻其法界和平，利益报贪恼后得。Okay, there we go. That's the end of our preliminaries. And once again, welcome. Glad you're all here. Today we are talking about Sudana's 7th teacher, and his name is Bhikshu Ocean Banner. And let's see now, here we go. I want to show people something, and I've got an idea that has been on my mind for years now, and it just made some sense. So here's our Bhikshu, here's our teacher, Hai Chuang Bhikshu. Here he is. Sudana is this little guy down here in the picture. So it's number 7 in the country of Magadha, Hai Chuang Bhikshu, there it is in Chinese. Now, what we see here, the image that the sutra gives us and the artist has portrayed, is a monk meditating. He's in samadhi. From his body, it shows all the different places. There are 14, I don't think, let's see, did we count that many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So in the sutra gives us 14, but the artist ran out of room here. So there are all these different groups of beings, from Buddhas here at the top, and then bodhisattvas to the gods, the dragons, the full pantheon, right? So we've got yakshas, rakshas, garudas, kinnaras, maharagas, all these different beings coming from different parts of his body, which is kind of weird until you think of what samadhi is in Chinese. This is what I just figured out. Let me show you. So here's our notes. We'll see. I'll pop it in right here so I don't lose my place. So the thing about samadhi that has always been confusing to translators is the definition. It's always been translated as zheng ding zheng shou. And honestly, that never made a lot of sense. So what does that mean? It means, zheng means right. Let me get out of Chinese here. Right or correct, proper, straight, the right stuff. You're doing it right. That's zheng. Notice it's a, see, this is just too small, isn't it? Here we go. There, that's better. Okay, so take a look. That character is really square. It's not going to wiggle. It's flat, got a flat bottom, straight, 90-degree angles. It's there to stay. So this character is used for all kinds of different purposes. You know, when I grew up in America, if you wanted to count something, you had a lot of them, so you're counting cans of tomato sauce. So, and you got 50 to count, and you're putting them, you're doing inventory. What you do is you go stroke 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a slanting stroke 5. And then you count numbers of groups of 5. The Chinese do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the character zheng, right? It's those 5 strokes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, meaning the group of 5. That's how deep in the culture is this idea of zheng, correct, right. Now, the second character, ding, it looks similar. It looks like it's got that internal part, but it's got a roof on top. And ding means what? Focus, concentration, fixedness. Fixedness. Zheng ding means you're focusing correctly. You've got the right focus. Think of a camera, and you look through the lens and it's fuzzy, and you turn the lens, oh, super sharp. That's zheng ding right there. So samadhi, when you're meditating to the place where everything is still, your body, your mind, your spirit, that's zheng ding, that's samadhi. So far so good, right? This is the one that's always been like, what? How does this make sense? Zheng, there's our word again. It's spelled in, if you want to spell it out, zheng, zheng, fourth one, zheng. But this one is the funny one, shou. Now, zheng ding, zheng shou. What is zheng shou? Shou means, shou is to receive, to accept, to take on, to 我接受了, to accept, to allow. Those are the meanings of shou. So what does this have to do with samadhi? Zheng shou. We say right reception. I mean, it's like, what? You're sitting still. What's zheng ding I get? Why zheng shou? I just figured it out. So here's our bhikshu again. Oh, let's bring him back up. There he is. Here's Ocean Banner. Okay. Samadhi has to do with your mind. Samadhi, samme, this meditative state that he is, the sutra says he's in samadhi. That's what Sudana is watching. He's watching the monk be in samadhi. And as he's in samadhi, from different parts of his body emerge all these different Dharma realms. Shifu has a poem called The 10 Dharma Realms Are Not Beyond a Single Thought of the Present Mind. So, what's going on here? This bhikshu his mind is very quiet. Now, visualize this. When I was a young lad, my father got what was called a hi-fi stereo. And that was the rage back then. Pretty much everybody had a TV, and this is right in the era between black and white and color TVs. Not everybody had a color TV, but everybody had a black and white TV. And that was when hi-fi, high fidelity came in. And what this meant was you would go to the local audio store and you would buy a turntable, and you would buy speakers, and you would buy an amplifier. And so my dad did that, and my dad was a bombardier in World War II, and he really knew quality instruments because he had to focus on his bomb site to drop the bombs. And your life and the life of the 10 men in your plane depended on the quality of your stuff. So my dad understood good stuff. He got good stuff. He got good speakers, he got a good turntable, and he got a quality amp. But then he added to it what was called a receiver. And a receiver was a radio. He got a Harman Kardon radio that had FM, AM, and shortwave. And I remember turning the dial and having the needle showing you which bandwidth you were on as it would slide down from 530 up to 1230 or whatever the top of 1340, something like that. So what the receiver did in my dad's hi-fi setup, these are called components, the components of his stereo, was it would receive different radio stations along with playing the records so it was both hi-fi and stereo, and it was high fidelity, it was good quality, but that the amplifier was the thing that sent the electricity where it needed to go and turn a signal from a 33 1/3 RPM record into sound. But this receiver, the stereo receiver, was this magical thing for me, because you would go to the newspaper and it would say, oh, you want to listen to WTOL? WTOL is at 1140 on the AM dial. So you'd turn the dial, you'd move it along the scale, 1140, oh, here's the voice. Wonderful. Now you can hear everything that you want to on the radio station. Does he know he can listen to the earphone? I don't know. 有可以附耳机，知道吗? Okay. So anyway, then you'd say, I want to listen to FM. Well, there was an FM station that played jazz. There was cool jazz. Then there was an FM station that played classical music. And there was an FM station that played rock and roll. And you could move the dial, and you could receive the program being broadcast from all the different radio frequencies along the audio spectrum. So that receiver was a joy for me, because it opened all these doors to different worlds of music and Spanish language and news and sports. Listen to baseball. So the word receiver suddenly had a whole new significance for me. What is the receiver in this picture? It's the mind when it is in Ding, and it's receiving the frequency from his quiet mind. The mind in samadhi, 一切为心造, everything is made from the mind. So that is to say that when the bhikshu, Hai Chuang, Ocean Banner, puts his mind into samadhi, Zheng Ding, when it's still and focused, he can touch all the Dharma realms as he chooses. And from his mind, in samadhi, come all these different beings. So it really is reception. It's exactly what it means. You're able to receive all the different bandwidths that open to all these different beings in samadhi, as in their reception, in their their realms. So it is exactly Zheng Ding Zheng Shou. Right stillness, right focus, right reception. Everything is made from the mind. He's tuning in to the mind in each of those different bandwidths. Oh, here come the Ashuras. Oh, here come the Devas. Oh, here come the lay people and Kshatriyas, right? So, very interesting. That suddenly makes sense to me, as never before. All right. There we go. Now, last week, what did we have? Here's our sutra. Last week we talked about Ashuras, didn't we? People remember what the Ashuras were like, and we we had the dragons, and then we had the Ashura kings of Ashuras. And these Ashuras, we talked about how there are Ashuras, here's the word in English. Some people say Asura. I learned Ashura, so we'll use Ashura. Ashulo in Chinese, here it is. Ashulo. And we talked about their qualities, and then also that they came out of the swastika, the character 10,001 on the chest of the monk. That's the place in the body. So I want to read over this one more time, and I don't feel like I've finished everything that I want to say about the Ashuras. So if it's okay with you, we'll go over this one more time, and then revisit it's like Ashuras 2.0, more information about the Ashuras, okay? If that's all right with everybody. So we're going to read the same passage of text as last week. Here we go. People are welcome to read with me if you like. Here we go. 从胸前万字中出无数百千亿阿修罗王，皆系视线，不可思议自在幻力， 令百世界皆大震动，一切海水自然涌沸，一切山王互相冲击，诸天宫殿无不动摇，诸魔光明无不隐蔽，诸魔兵众无不摧伏，普令众生舍憍慢心，除怒害心，破烦恼山，习众恶法，掌悟斗争，永共和善。Okay, for there for now. Here we go. Countless hundreds of thousands of millions of Ashura kings came from the one symbol on his chest, all of whom displayed mastery over inconceivable powers of illusion, and their arrival caused immense quaking within 100 worlds. All the waters of the ocean spontaneously bubbled and seethed. The kings of mountains crashed against one another. All the celestial palaces shook, and every demon's light was obliterated. Every demonic army was vanquished and subdued. They made all beings renounce their thoughts of arrogance, destroy their thoughts of anger and harming, smash their mountains of affliction, and put to rest all their evil dharmas. They freed them from contention and debate and showed them how to be harmonious and kind to each other. All right, so to review again, Asuras are fighters, incessant fighters. They live for strife and conflict. They are warlike to the max. And the sutra, this is a fascinating aspect of the Avatamsaka Sutra, because the sutra gives us the profile of 14 different kinds of beings summoned from the quiet mind of the monk in meditation. And it reverses their negativity to show their positivity. And from the positive things that they're doing, we get a picture of who they are before they meet the Buddha. And as we said last week, the downbeat, kind of the drum, the rhythm, is it a waltz? If it's a waltz, it's bum ba da dum bum 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 bum. If it's not a waltz, if it's another kind of musical meter, it's bum 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 bum. The downbeat of all of these 14 kinds of beings is they have met the Buddha. They've been tamed by the Buddha. They want to be like the Buddha. They are learning from the Buddha. So we're getting the good Ashura after conversion. Now what am I talking about? Take a look. The Asuras come out of the Wan symbol, the swastika, and they have powers of illusion. They can vanish, they can be big, they can be small. And when they show up, earthquakes, immense quaking within 100 worlds. So the Asuras show up and everything goes blah, 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 blah. Thunder, earthquake, giant things are smashing against each other because that's who they are. In English, you could translate this, if you had to find an English word, you could say titans. Titans of industry, right, meaning giants. They are giants. The ocean waters bubble in the sea, mountains crash against one another. The devas' homes, their palaces shake. The demons' lights go out. The armies of the demons, which are absolutely terrifying, they give up. They're subdued. They're defeated. They're humbled, right? Okay, so that's the outside. We get, with these words, we get a sense of one aspect of the Asuras. They're big, they're powerful, they win. They defeat all kinds of enemies. But then, look what the sutra does next. It shifts us inside the mind, and it shows their effect on another kind of enemy, another kind of opponent, which is what? False thinking, right? Attachments, the wrong thoughts in the mind. This is their new place where they assert their love of conflict and their victorious ways. Take a look. All beings renounce thoughts of arrogance. All beings destroy thoughts of anger and harming. All beings smash the mountains of affliction. All beings put to rest evil. Contention and debate go away. Harmony and kindness come into being. So see what the sutra has done? It's showing us about asuras after they have been, tamed, after they've been put into harmony by the Buddha. So we take these dharmas and flip them around, and we get the actual picture of the asura as asuras are known to folklore, as they're known to myth, as they're known to legends. Where? Well, everywhere. This is what I really wanted to dig into today as we look at asuras. Okay? Now, being the Avatamsaka, asuras are important Dharma protectors for the Buddha, so we get a second whole paragraph of their qualities. Let's take a look. What happens when the asuras show up? 复以幻力开悟众生，令灭罪恶，令不生死，令出诸趣，令离染扰，令住无上菩提之心，令消一切诸菩萨行，令住一切诸般若蜜，令入一切诸菩萨地，令观一切微妙法门，令知一切诸佛方便，如是所作，周遍法界。Okay? Moreover, they awakened beings with the strength of illusion. They led them to eradicate their offenses. They led them to fear birth and death. They helped them escape the destinies of reincarnation. They led them away from defilement and attachment so that they abide in the thought of unsurpassed Bodhi. They stay in the thought of unsurpassed Bodhi. They guided them to cultivate the Bodhisattva's practices. They taught them to stay with the paramitas and showed them how to enter the stages of bodhisattvahood. They taught them to contemplate subtle and wonderful Dharma methods and all the expedients of the Buddhas. Thus their deeds filled the Dharma realm. Okay, major good deeds on behalf of the asuras for the Buddha. These asuras are not out there fighting with the gods to win Olympus. They're here working inside society, inside the family, inside your workplace, inside your school, on your team to make better people, to make more effective Buddhists, right? So these are Dharma warriors. That's really true. The asuras have become Dharma warriors, fighting on the battlefield of affliction and trouble and blues and pain and misery to bring us closer to the Dharma. That's what the sutra is showing us. And let me say, again, you've heard me say it before, it's really kind of boring at this point. People say, oh, the Avatamsaka Sutra, don't bother lecturing on it. It's all philosophy. It's too difficult to understand. There's too much Sanskrit. It's just too abstract. Anybody who says that has just not opened the sutra. They haven't read it. Take a look. Is this philosophy? No. It's a description of what could be just myth and legend. Oh, once upon a time there were those Asura beings in some old story. The Buddha's saying, the sutra is saying, because the Buddha wants us to wake up, he has transformed the minds of some of the baddest spiritual beings in the universe, turned them into wholesome beings of great power who are able to get us to change with either by being badder than the baddest or just being kinder than the kindest. Look, they use the strength of illusion to wake us up. They help us wipe out our offenses through repentance. They lead us to fear birth and death, so we decide to cultivate instead of just enjoying pleasure or running from pain. They help us get out of rebirth in the hells, the animals, and the ghosts. They take us away from defilement. We put down habits. We decide to stop drinking, stop swearing, stop gossiping. They get us to make the Bodhi resolve. Right? How difficult is this? Really difficult, and that's what the Asuras are doing as they emerge from the body of the Bhikshu ocean banner. They show us how to cultivate Bodhisattva practices, stay with the paramitas, go through the 53 stages of the Bodhisattva path, contemplate subtle, wonderful Dharma methods and the expedience of the Buddhas. In other words, they turn us into the very best versions of ourselves. That's what Asuras are doing. Okay, that's the Avatamsaka Sutra. Right. Now, picture in your life, who is the bully in your life? Who's the meanie or the baddie? Who's the heavy in your life? Somebody who shows up and everybody is aware that this is a hair-trigger personality and you gotta keep him happy or he'll blow up and get violent? Could that be someone in your family? Well, according to statistics here in Queensland, domestic violence is at a record high. Regularly, when I'm looking at the ABC website, the Australian Broadcasting, or reading the local newspaper, there are seminars everywhere, sponsored by the constables, the police, sponsored by political parties, to bring in people and educate us about how prevalent is domestic violence. Not only men being violent towards their spouses, but parents being violent to their elders or to their children, or bosses being cruel to their employees, et cetera, et cetera. This is a major thing here in Queensland now. And I'm just naming it because I'm saying it's local. It's global as well. So this is, we're facing a crisis of families being dysfunctional because of this this way of responding to ourselves that we project outside. Basically the strategy and the simple principle of many of these seminars is to say, when someone in the family uses violence or intimidation or cruelty towards someone else in the family, it's a projection of something in the mind that doesn't work, something that we have not understood, that's still in the darkness in our own character. And the method, the first thing that you do to start to get to work with the problem is to bring light into the mind and say, what are you not seeing? What are you not accepting about yourself? What is it about yourself that frightens you to the point where you exteriorize it, where you project it outside and then go to war with it? If we can bring light inside the mind and say, what I am most afraid of is X, Y, and Z, then we come to grips with the source of the problem. The problem is not outside, and being violent towards something outside the mind, outside the body, only increases the trouble. It does nothing to solve the problem. So this is kind of the strategy. It is exactly the principle of cultivation of the Dharma as our school teaches it, which is, we could be Buddhas now, we could be bodhisattvas and sages and arhats now, but the problem is false thinking and attachments that cover over our nature. So as soon as we start to work within and do what's called huiguang, fan zhao, turn the light around and get to work on the living beings of our own nature, the darkness and the ignorance that we habitually overlook. As soon as we can do that, then we are on the path towards awakening. Suffering will end down the road. So as long as the problem's outside, we're going further and further from the source. So anyway, here are the Asuras doing that, saying, yes, wake up inside. And they do it. Notice all of these, the verbs here have to do with strength. They have to do with victory. We've got eradicating and awakening, escaping, lead from, guiding, teaching. So these Asuras are here to help us wake up. Okay, now here's what I wanted to share from that I didn't get to last week. There's a remarkable correspondence in the stories from Hinduism that the Buddhists share. Stories from the Vedas. The 4 Vedas are one of the oldest strands of literature in human history. And the Vedas talk about these beings called Asuras who are constantly struggling. I'll wait till the plane goes by. They say that Asuras want to be gods. They want to be devas, and they have the blessings of the devas, but they don't have the virtue of the gods. And at one point, Shakra, otherwise known as Indra, Shakra Devanam Indra, threw the Asuras out of the heaven of the 33, the Triyastrimsha heaven, on the peak of Mount Sumeru. And he threw them out down to the base of Mount Sumeru. And the Asuras, very unhappy about that. Why did they get thrown out of the heavens? Because they got drunk. They drank. Shakra turns out in these stories to be pretty crafty. He got them drunk, and they misbehaved, and he had a reason to throw them out of the heavens. So there they are, very upset with their current circumstances, and they always want to come back to their previous address in the heavens. So it is a state of constant warfare. And to be a god in the heaven of the 33, you have your armor and your weapons are never far from your hand. And regularly you hear the tian gu, the drum of the devas, pounding, saying, here come the Asuras to arms, right? Saddle up, because here come the bad guys, from the point of view of the devas. So there is constant struggle, cosmic struggle among the gods in the heavens with the Asuras. That's the story. Okay, that's from the Indian side of things. Shift west a couple thousand miles, and you get to Greece and the Hellenistic world, and the very same story is being told. It's just remarkable how these legends are retold in entirely different civilizations, scattered by or separated by thousands of miles. In the Greek retelling of the story, the god is Zeus. The Asuras are called Titans. The mountain is not Mount Sumeru. The mountain is Olympus. And the same story is being told. There is constant tension because the Asuras are trying to win their way back onto Mount Olympus. And they're always fighting. How fascinating to have this similar story being told. I'm going to scroll down here. So there is a cosmic conflict in the Greek and the Indian traditions about the gods who like order and the Asuras who like chaos. So in the Greek world it's Titans, and Zeus is the king of gods. And the Zeus throws them out of heaven, and they're always trying to get back. The Asuras are not humans. They're demigods. They're almost devas. They were in the heavens before, and they're always fighting with Chakra. So in the Greek telling of the story, there was one battle, and they threw the Titans out of heaven. In the Buddhist telling of the story and the Hindu telling, there is constant refreshing of the war. So the universe finds order only after conflict. But in the Greek story, it was one decisive war. In the Indian and Buddhist telling, there's a constant struggle. Okay, they both share a mountain, Mount Olympus and Mount Sumeru. Okay, that's the same. And the mountain is where the battle takes place. So here we have rivals. Titans and Asuras. And the thing about Titans is they are huge. When they show up, the earth shakes, just the way the Sutra gave us the Asuras coming into the scene out of the body of Bhikshu Haichuang. So here's the interesting thing. As when we talk about, if we say, describe for me the desire realm, people say, oh, that's easy. There's the six-spoked turning wheel, the symbol of Buddhism. What are they? Well, there's the hells, there are the ghosts, there are the animals. Those are the three destinies of suffering. Then there are three san shan dao, the three wholesome realms. What are they? Well, one of them is humans, and then the next one is the Asuras, and the next one is the Devas. But where are the Asuras? Sometimes they're below humans, between humans and animals. Sometimes they're above humans, between humans and gods. Why is it so confusing? If they're a realm, aren't they somewhere? Why the confusion between one or the other? It's because the oldest legends about Asuras give us this this confusion. It gives us this uncertainty. It is uncertain where Asuras are in a system of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can appear as, now Master Hua solved it. He said, the thing is, Asuras appear not just as long ago and far away fighting with the gods. Asuras can appear in every other realm. There are human Asuras. There are animal Asuras. There are Asuras in the heavens. And it's all of this uncertainty is there. And he would go on to say, because Shifu was a Chan master, he would say, you have Asura qualities in your own mind. Anytime you go to fight, anytime conflict rises, if you can catch it and transform it, you have tamed an Asura and turned it into a Dharma protector. Okay? So Asuras are not evil. They are complex. They have virtue, they have discipline, they have shantong, and after they meet the Buddha, they become Dharma protectors. Isn't that interesting? So in both the Greek and the Indian version, Indian meaning Hindu and Buddhist, they're huge, they live long, they are strong, they have shantong, and their origin is ambiguous. That's the word I was looking for. It's not black and white. It's almost gods, but loving to fight. Interesting. Zeus is the king of gods in the Greeks. Chakra Indra is king of the gods in the Buddhist side. He lives on Mount Sumeru. He's got a Jingang, he's got weapons, and he lives up on Mount Sumeru. Has to fight with the Asuras all the time. Okay. Now, one difference here that's interesting. Zeus, as the Greeks tell the story, is there forever. He doesn't change. In Buddhism, Shakra has to cultivate himself, or if his blessings run out, he can lose his role, and he will be replaced. The Avatamsaka Sutra talks about Shakra as someone who is always urging his god, his deva disciples to cultivate. And he speaks Dharma for them. He's got a drum which alerts them to the presence of Asuras coming to fight, but the Tiangu, the deva's drum, has another job, another purpose, which is it tells the gods to come to the Shanjian Dian, the Hall of Good Views, to listen to the Dharma. So when you hear the drum, boom, 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 come listen to the Dharma. So how interesting, right? This is another whole side of Asuras. And the thing that I think is most fascinating is that the legends give us these morally complex beings. They are not evil, they're not demons. They can be incessant fighters, but they have a flaw. They have a tragic flaw in their nature, which is they love to fight. They also are described as being ugly if they're males and beautiful if they're women. And there are all kinds of stories within stories, which is Shakra's wife has a half of her lineage is from an Ashura. So it's like these stories, so many details, and the traditions separated by the Silk Road from India. Actually, Silk Road starts in China, but all the way across to Greece, to the Hellenistic world, these stories agree. They agree. How fascinating. Where does this come from in the mist of history of our species that these stories carry through in the Avatamsaka Sutra? And here is our absolutely sacred Buddhist text that the Buddha gave us that is carrying on these archetypes, saying these stories are real. These are real stories. These are things that we can learn. And now, it gives it the unique Avatamsaka twist when it says, Asuras, when they are good, look at what they can do. Not only are they big, do they have these powers of illusion, they can defeat the demon's army, but they can also get you to not be arrogant. They can also get you to give up anger. So it gives us the archetype made wholesome, turned around, and put inside the mind. And that's where the Chan school steps in, because when we meditate, as these thoughts arise, we transform the Asuras in our minds, right? Now, I have a personal story here. I was away from City of 10,000 Buddhas for years when I was in Taiwan, and the monks community that I had gotten to know again at the end of my pilgrimage, I'd kind of gotten to know people again. I had been away from them for a couple of years, and during that time, my Chan meditation really became essential to my daily practice. the Liu Gui, the Six Turtles Monastery, Fa Jie Sheng Si, down in southern Taiwan, has a roof that back when we had just moved in was a wonderful place to meditate. It was a shingle tar and gravel roof. And I would go up in the morning, just after sunrise, after our chanting, and sit, meditate on the roof and wait for the sun to rise, and watch it go down the valley. The sun would illuminate the mountains. There are two, that our monastery there has these two mountains that curve down. They look just like elephants. Elephants bowing to the Buddha. It's remarkable how much you think, oh, people say that spontaneously. So I would meditate there, and the meditation got really good, and all kinds of awarenesses came up to my mind about how arrogant I had been in the past, just wanting to be, thinking the whole world centered around me, and everything that was important was started with me. I was in the middle of everything, and meditating there in the jungle, in the bush, in southern Kaohsiung County, that just seemed like such a lot of wasted work, defending this self that didn't exist. Why would I put so much effort into being the center of everything? Who needed it? Nobody was waiting for me to show up to be the center of the world. It was a waste of effort and time. So I let that go. And that was a result of sitting more. It was so clear that the things that I thought were solid and real and true and important were just a way of seeing the world. It was just a habit. And when I changed my mind, I changed my eyes. And when I changed my eyes, didn't see the world the way I used to, everything was different. And I felt such a relief. I felt so much lighter, and didn't have to put that play on stage every day. I'm the most important. I'm the center of everything. That just was needless, And what a burden, what a joy to set that down. Okay, I returned to City of 10,000 Buddhas, and there was a meeting of the Sangha, and because I was the senior monk, we had a Sangha meeting, and we were electing delegates to the board of directors of the association. And I was not in the least interested in being an administrator. I was interested in keeping my meditation going. I was interested in translations that I was doing. But there was one monk in particular who really wanted the position. And so we had the meeting where we were going to elect the representatives. And this other monk who was actually had ordained at the same time as I did, we had a discussion over who was going to be nominated, and he started throwing all these accusations at me in the discussion. Oh, I know you really want this. You've been plotting behind my back so that you could get the power. You've been telling stories, you've been accusing, and all of this because it was so far from the truth. In fact, I had not had a single thought about who or what job. I wanted the meeting to be over so I could get back to work doing what I was really interested in, was the translations I could do and all. And this, at the same time, I could see how much desire for these jobs was part of this monk's thinking. He really wanted this position. And because of the desire that he had for the authority and the decision-making and the attention that he would get, he feared my coming back was going to take that away from him. And so he, in the meeting, in the discussion, it got pretty heated, pretty hot, and he was saying all these harsh things about what I wanted and I said, it was my turn to speak, and I said, actually, not interested. None of those things make any sense to me. I don't know where those came from, but certainly not from me. Maybe check your source, Just ask around, see whether I've said any of the things that you said. And I was chill. I didn't change, I didn't blush, I didn't raise my voice, I didn't blink. And I knew that all the other monks in the meeting verified that what I was saying was true, because I didn't care. I really didn't care. And so the vote was held, and the monk got the position. And after the meeting, he came to me and he said, I really want to apologize. He said, you didn't get angry. I was trying to make you angry, and you didn't get angry. And I'm impressed. He said, that's not easy, he said. And then he went away. And what I realized was that here's our text. Oops, not that. That comes later. Our text goes, says, they made all beings renounce their thoughts of arrogance, destroy their thoughts of anger and harming, smash the mountains of affliction, and put to rest evil dharmas. During the sitting that I'd been doing on the rooftop at Liu Gui, all of this really uncomfortable awarenesses that came to my mind about how I had treated the world as a stage, and I was the central player, and my role was the thing that I had to pay attention to all the time, present myself in the front with the, ready, hard and ready to go to. All of that was just a waste of effort and an insult to the world. The world was better off without any of that. I just pulled that play off the stage. I turned the lights off in the theater that was playing that stage. And as a result, when this other monk attacked me with these accusations about what I wanted and how I was fighting to overthrow him and all, it did not stick. It was just wind past my ears, because there was no embers inside to catch fire. Now, if I had wanted that job, of course, I would have had to respond and fight back. But simply because there was not a flicker of interest in that job that he wanted so badly, I could stay cool. And so the Buddhist formula is Jie Ding Hui, right? Is Tan Chen Chi, is greed leads to anger, leads to delusion and stupidity, right? So in this case, because I didn't have greed for what this other monk wanted, I didn't need to get angry. There was no need to respond with fire or fight back. No, it just wasn't true. And so I didn't move a muscle to defend myself or to fight back. And the amazing thing was, all the other monks felt it. Why? Because we are totally on each other's radar, especially monks in a monastery who live and eat and sleep and bow together all the time. So because my mind didn't move, there was nothing for me to win and nothing to lose. So the kind of like the monk who was doing the accusing, it was kind of like spitting in the wind. It came right back on his face. And everybody felt it. So this is how Asuras are when they're transformed. So that's the key to all of these 14 groups of beings coming out, is what they've been tamed. The Buddha has tamed them, and so their worst traits are flipped around and they become virtues. In this case, Asuras fight. Here, they're not fighting. They freed them from contention and debate and showed them how to be harmonious and kind to each other. That's a reformed Asura who has met the Buddha and is now a Dharma protector. Okay? That's what I wanted to share about the Asuras. If you think about fighters in World War II in North Africa, the German tank commander was Rommel, and the British tank commander was Lord Montgomery. And General Rommel and Lord Montgomery fought in the sand with the Panzer Division from Germany and I forget what the British tanks were. And these are two Asuras struggling like rival scorpions in the sand for victory. It was a pivotal tank battle in World War II. But there's an example that always comes to my mind as Asuras fighting for supremacy. Bullies on the playground, cops and robbers. Your local footy team fighting. The best athletes are Asuras. There are positive Asuras. There are cops and robbers. There's negative Asuras and good ones. Protecting order and destroying order. So, okay. Next, hey, we've got another. Let's do one more here. It's a shorter one, and it's an important one. Okay, here we go. 从其背上为应以二乘而得度者，出无数百千亿声闻独觉，为照我者说无有我，为知常者说一切恒皆系无常，为谈行者说不净观，为嗔行者说慈心观，为痴行者说缘起观，为等奉行者说与智慧相应境界法，为要着境界者说无所有法，为要照寂静处者说发大誓愿，普绕一切众生法，如是所作，周遍法界。Okay. Countless hundreds of thousands of millions of Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas came from his back for the sake of those who could be taken across by the two vehicles. For those who were attached to the view of a self, they taught that there is no self. For those who were attached to permanence, they explained that all behavior is transient. For greedy beings, they spoke the contemplation of impurity. For angry ones, they spoke of the contemplation of compassion. For the deluded, they spoke the contemplation of conditioned arising. For those who suffered an equal share of all the poisons, they spoke the Dharma of the states that respond with wisdom. For those who were fond of attaching to states, they spoke the Dharma of there being nothing at all. For those who were fond of attaching to locations of still quietude, they spoke the Dharma of making great vows to universally benefit all beings. Thus their deeds filled the Dharma realm. Okay. Next group, next Dharma realm. Do people know when Master Hua, this is amazing, at Gold Mountain Monastery, one morning, Master Hua came bouncing down. He was from upstairs where he his quarters were. And he said, I've got it. He said, I've got a new poem. I'll read it to you all today. And he read us the 10 Dharma realms are not beyond a single thought. 十法界不离念心. And he took all 10 Dharma realms and gave them short, really terse verses that captured each one. He said, I'm happy with this one. He liked this particular formation. And it didn't exist before. Nobody had ever, no other monk that we know of had ever put this, the 10 Dharma realms into verse form, simply and easy to remember. We'll bring it next week as we move through. So in those 10 Dharma realms, there's the 6 and the 4. Easy to remember, 6 and the 4. The 6 are the paths of rebirth that we humans are currently in one of them, called the human Dharma realm, male and female. And we move through them in the way the Buddha described where we live is fluid. It's like musical chairs almost. When the music stops, you grab for the chair. And we could be humans. If we do well, we come back as devas, have a life as gods. If we do poorly, we can lose our human body, come back in another realm. Or we can drop our status within the human realm. We can come back poor. We can come back sickly. We can come back without wholesome parents, without a good family, without material to support our lives. So this is how the Buddha described it. So that's the 6, right? Hell is at the bottom, ghosts next, animals next, 3 paths of woe. Then Asuras, humans, and then Devas. That's mortality. When we die, we come back somewhere in that realm of 6. That's the 6-spoked turning wheel of rebirth. Now, here's the thing that most of us don't imagine that is so significant, which is there are 4 more paths, 4 more destinies, 4 more ways of being reborn that don't come from birth, they come from cultivation. And they're called Si Sheng, the 4 sages. What is it? It's Arhats, Pratyeka Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and Buddhas. Those are already beyond samsara. No more returning. So the first one is Arhats, but it's also sometimes called Shravakas. They're not the same. All Shravakas are not Arhats, but all Arhats are Shravakas. Well, I'll explain that in a minute. Then there are solitary Buddhas. And there's a bunch of ways to look at these 2 paths of rebirth, but they are 2 of the 4 paths or destinies that have already ended birth and death. They are no longer mortal. They are immortal, but in the best way, genuinely immortal. That is to say, beyond samsara, no longer in shengsi, they're already in nirvana, different levels of nirvana. The Buddha is at the top, Bodhisattvas are the next one down, and then there are these 2, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas. So in the next, let's see here, this week and next week, we're going to be looking at these 2 levels of sages, okay? So what I would like folks to understand is that we don't have to do anything, and we just have to die, and we will be reborn on the 6-spoked wheel, the wheel that turns. This is Buddhism's symbol, right? We've seen this before. If we go, I'm now in Google, if we go to Buddhism in Wikipedia, pick up the Wikipedia, what is the symbol that pops up for the entire religion of Buddhism? It's this guy. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Eightfold Path. But this is the wheel, the turning wheel that brings us back to rebirth in one of the 6 paths. Now, if we cultivate, instead of simply falling back into rebirth, we can leave the 6 paths of rebirth and come back in the 4 paths of sagehood. It's effort, but that's the goal. And when we do that, we have ended birth and death. Now, within those 4, there are big divisions. And the first 2, Shravakas and Prachekas, are called Ar-Chung or Ar-Sheng, 2 vehicles. And it's usually you do it with you give a snort of derision. Ar-Chung. If you're a Mahayana patriot, right? If you're a partisan Mahayana, you go, Ar-Chung, inferior, lesser. From the point of view of the Shravakas and Pracheka Buddhas, if they were standing here in the room, we would not go, because why? They are sages. They have ended birth and death. They have done something massive. They have ended desire. They have entered samadhi and realized nirvana, you yu and wu yu nibbana. Nirvana with remainder, nirvana without remainder. This is an incredible, heroic accomplishment that we can imagine, but most of us just jump out of meditation when our knees hurt, right? Most of us have something that we want more. It could be chocolate. It could be a cup of coffee. It could be $1 million. It could be a new iPhone or a Hermes bag, right? So as long as we are still have things we want, we can't compare to Sowei, Ar-Chung, 2 vehicles. They're lesser only by comparison to the Bodhisattva and the Buddha, whose motivation includes great compassion. But we in our Mahayana tradition are steeped in that way of saying, Arhats and Pracheka Buddhas are distinctly inferior to the Bodhisattvas. There's a reason why even the Avatamsaka Sutra talks about that as a lesser way to cultivate. And we'll go deeply into it next week. Because there's a reason why, from the point of view of the Bodhisattva, Arhats should keep going, because their nature hasn't been uncovered entirely. So there's the birth and death of the Arhat is called Fanduan Shangsi, share and portion. The birth and death that a Bodhisattva transforms is called Bian Yi, change. It's the subtlest place of the mind has been brought to light. And the liberation includes all beings, instead of just my share and my portion, this body. We'll go into that later. There's a lot more to talk about the 4 stages of sagehood. Meanwhile, we're going to look here. Do we have any Q&A today, Sam? Any from last week? Is that it? Okay. If we don't, I have a song. Here we go. Okay. What is the meaning of Anju? In Rufa-Jaya, Night Ruling Spirit says, liberation door, teaching to give rise to good roots, self-nature, all beings, all dharmas. Are these a bunch of, are these 3 questions or 1 question? That's 4 questions. What's the meaning of abiding in peace? How does the self-nature of dharmas relate to the arising and ceasing? How do we understand awakening to the equality of the self-nature of all dharmas? Okay, I'm going to pass on this question, because I think even if I were to be able to explain that to you, you wouldn't understand it. This is like saying, I have learned how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. I am good at mathematics. Tell me about differential calculus. Tell me about astrophysics and its relationship to numbers. The questions you're asking about the self-nature of Dharma is 诸法自性. That's astrophysics for you and for me. I'm not even going to pretend that I can explain it in a way that you can understand it. It's all based on your next thought. If you can 看破放下我相, suppose you've seen through the self, you have put down all attachments to self, you still haven't come anywhere close to the self-nature of dharmas. 我空法还没空. Have you emptied out the self? Well, after you empty out the self, come back and I'll talk about emptying out dharmas. All right? Don't pretend. You are pretending. All right. What about the relationship between the brow center and the Dharma body? The Amitabha Sutra speaks of the white hair tuft light between the eyebrows. Longman, Master Min Ida, said that, in ancient Sanskrit, the 3 dots of the eye correspond to this, with the uppermost dot, heaven eye, are important. Indian Master Sadhguru also said, if a person can slightly lower the position of the brow center, many problems will resolve. Okay, let's see here. Do we want to... thank you for making this fantizi. I appreciate that. Okay. 请教一下眉心与法身之间的关系。阿弥陀经说，每见白毫光，龙门民一德祖师说，古梵文音字的3点，最上一点是天目很重要。印度萨古鲁大师 OK 说过let's see here 说过，如果人能把眉心天眼往下移一点，就会解决很多问题。Okay, if you are really interested in things like this, you can read lots of books, you can listen to lots of experts, you will never be able to prove whether these things that the experts are saying, either Longman Master Minida or Sadhguru or somebody, because why? This is a state of 神通妙用, psychic powers, talking about special vision and the head. Who can verify that what they're saying is true? Only somebody who has had that experience. Now, who has opened their third eye, their tian yan, the 5 eyes or the 6 spiritual powers? Bodhisattvas on the 3rd ground, the Sandi Pusa, have done this according to Dharma. Who can do it according to Dharma? Which dot of the eye shows that, right? And whether you can solve problems by dropping it down. Do you know that's true? Can you verify it? Who says? Who says that's true? Well, dragons have psychic powers, but they are animals, right? Demons have psychic powers, but they don't have any compassion. That's not zheng fa, that's xie dao. So I'm going to suggest that you're asking me to tell you the answer to these things. I'm curious about such things, but I know that if I cultivate to where I have actually experienced great compassion, 五眼六通, 5 eyes and the 6 spiritual powers arise because a person needs them to help teach living beings who are suffering. They're not doing this because it's curious. They're not doing it because they want to be seen as powerful or special, right? It arises from genuine compassion. And at that point, they don't discriminate between which is the eye. They need it because the living beings are who they want to help wake up are suffering. If you don't have compassion, you will have a problem with these 5 eyes and 6 powers. It's very easy to go wrong, and you wind up in a realm that you have no control over if you only have curiosity, or worse, if you have desire. If you've ended desire, these powers are, what's equally important is 四摄法. I would suggest that you work on your kind words, your loving speech, your generosity, your ability to cooperate with people, and the service that you do. That will take you further down the road to helping living beings wake up than knowing whether this is the correspondence to the Deva eye. Otherwise, you know what? Sorry, you're wasting your time. Not only are you wasting your time, you could go wrong here. So don't waste your time. If you're curious, just be honest. You're curious. Me too. But I'm not going to give you an answer as if I knew what this was. One day, if my compassion is working, I will know spontaneously. And then maybe I'll use these abilities to help people wake up. Okay? So, there you go. Meanwhile, sing along with the monk. Here we go. Better times will come, better times will come. This world learns to live as one. Oh, better times will come. 明天会更好，明天会更好，世界和谐心大同。When we greet each dawn without fear, knowing loved ones soon will be near. When the winds of war cannot blow anymore, oh, better times will come. 面对困难毫不畏惧，亲朋好友不离不弃。南山，明天一定会更好。Better times will come. Better times will come. This world learns to live as one. Oh, better times will come. Though we live each day as our last, we know someday soon it will pass. We will dance, we will sing in that never-ending spring. Oh, better times will come. 生死瞬转一息之间，黑暗夜晚变换白天。安安心生，大地会春，明天一定会更好。明天会更好，明天会更好，世界和谐心大同，明天一定会更好。Better times will come, better times will come. Have to believe it, and then it will happen. Okay. Now, the camera keeps focusing on the Buddha. That's good. Focusing on the Buddha behind me. That's great. So, thank you all for joining today. And think about what in human society do we have any other of these ancient stories that cross over from one culture to another, like Titans and Asuras and Zeus and Chakra and Mount Olympus and Mount Sumeru. I wonder, that's so interesting, that this is it true? Is it a real story that's so imprinted on our deepest mind that we haven't forgotten it? Or is it because it's going on right this minute in a parallel universe? Or is it all symbolic and it's talking about our potential for fighting? Certainly, in this Dharma ending age, the Kali Yuga, the Morpha Shidai, it's said to be 斗争坚固的时代. It's a time when fighting is really prevalent. If anything, we are surrounded by asuras in the realm of politics, in the realm of commerce, in the realm of diplomacy, right? In the realm of warfare. So look at the budget of the United States for the Department of Defense, and you see asuras at work in charge. So yeah, there's so much to learn from these old philosophy books called Buddhist Sutras. Meanwhile, all right, see you all next week. Thank you for joining. To continue, next week we've got 2 of the 10 of the 4 sages' realms, followed by who? Followed by yakshas and rakshasas, ghosts and demons. Oh boy, that's the next group to show up in our story. All right? Please make a wish, dedicate the merit. Here we go. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. We'll finish off with 3 bows to Guanyin and 3 bows to our teacher. Here we go. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. That's all for us for today. See you all next week, everyone. Amitofo. Bye now.